Hey folks, welcome to Streamers Can Start and play our 5 minutes of intro music, and we'll get into it. So except for I totally messed up the intro. It's Techno Tuesday. We're going to play our 5 minutes of intro music, then we'll get into it. So enjoy. Alright, folks, let's get started then. I'm Ninja Kitty. Hey. And I play improv piano, which mostly just means I play what comes to mind, that's generally what we get. As far as requests and things, not the best playing sheet music or playing by ear, so I can't play just any random song on the fly. Super sorry. But hey, if you got like a story prompt, a phrase, a couple words, general feeling or emotion, or even random some notes, let's take that kind of stuff and improv with it. So. Yes, welcome. It is Techno Tuesday today, so bringing out the instruments and backing tracks and stuff. Should be a lot of fun. Sorry it's so late. I know I'm like that's 4 hours late. New record, or I don't know. But yeah, and the lights all coming through the window and it's blowing out the camera. It's good stuff. So yes. Anyways, but I am going to try to get through an hour here. If I end early, I'm sorry. We'll get through it though. I'm pretty sure it'll be an hour. On that note, let's bring together some instruments. Hello, random lurkers, by the way. If any of you are out there, because I don't see anyone in chat. But we got a nylon guitar, so. Which is nice, but I'm thinking we get some like acoustic guitars rather than the nylon acoustics. These are the steel acoustics. They got steel strings, I presume. I don't actually know what these instruments look like in real life. Kind of. I know a little bit of what they look like. I like it, so we'll go with that to start with. I do want a little bit more. I like the acoustic guitar. This one's called a folk guitar, or whatever that is. Kid, you can read it. I don't know. Anyways, folk guitar thing, harmonics. There we go. I can read it now. Currently I have it with a piano because that's what I had on the other one, but. Too much power behind it with the piano, so we're going to use something calmer, probably a pad. Actually, I want to use a synth pad. Like, let's try this one. Nah, we need something calmer, awesomer. Was not expecting that. All right. Nope, I've changed my mind. We're gonna use something else. Nope, we're gonna use some strings actually. See, I'm very decisive. I took one of those personality test things a while back, and I'm going through these ones, and my brother was like telling me I need to just pick them and move on. And I get down to this one, and it's like, how indecisive, right? It was like more or less identify with this kind of, or this concept or something. I don't know. And it was like I got down to this one. It was like indecisiveness, and I'm like, that's the one I wasn't indecisive on. Very good. I like that, but we're going to need some rebalancing. We need the guitar to be the main one, and the strings to be its backup. So it goes. So I like that combination now. Sorry, these always take forever to, again, I'm indecisive. What should we pair this with? Apples. I'm going to turn off the stuff and I'm going to play around and probably get there pretty soon. That's the one, by the way. Let's play. In a moment, I need to figure out how to put together the 3/4 into the 4/4 time. It's possible. I need to do it. It's just tip of my tongue. It's almost there. totally got this. I don't, but we'll try it. I'm gonna go grab something that actually has a 3 bass. That one didn't work. Give me one more shot at this. I'm gonna get this. I find it unlikely that I can do Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm right here at the end of the stream, but I might try. Let's see. What tunes do I know off the top of my head? I'm not so great at reading sheet music, and I can play by ear just a little bit. Let's see. Let me think about it. It is not coming together at all in my head. Let me grab my piano. Now listen up. Here's a story about that I make that sound all the time without even thinking about it. And then I start thinking about I Am Blue. I don't know Bohemian Rhapsody well enough. I'm sorry. I know a lot of other random tunes because I just, you know, like you get playing and then you find something. That's how I found the Song of Storm, I think that is. But I have a lot of others. I have stuff like Hopes and Dreams from Undertale, just a little fragment of it. See, I actually know a couple from Undertale. Like, I don't know all of Megalovania, but I have the first part. Hi, Dragon. I was supposed to be wrapping up, but instead I'm sitting here playing stuff. I can't play Bohemian Rhapsody, it would appear. But I can play other stuff, like I Am Blue. Oh, is that so? And we also had like, oh, why is you not plugged? You are clearly plugged in. What do you mean you're not plugged in? Here's the wall, here's the cable, here's the cord. Oh, and we taunt. No, that's the energy saver mode. It's like, what is wrong? Clearly you are plugged in. No, that's not plugged in still. Why is that not plugged in? How about now? I don't think that's helping. Yep, see, the percentage just went down another point. I mean, how hard can it be to plug in a laptop when you start streaming? We're lucky that my laptop has so much power. Hey, we did it. But I was saying, we had like Axel F, which is cool. And I have stuff like Esperbin Jungle, blah, such a name. I feel like it should be deeper. That was a fairly good recreation of the whole song, actually. I've been getting better at that one. I actually have seen the sheet music for that one, if anyone recalled. So, or a type of sheet music, because this original song is played with so many instruments, and you can't possibly play that many notes on the piano at once, unless you are like a computer. So, you gotta pick and choose what parts of the music are the most important. So, for instance, the main first tune that goes. That's played on this xylophone, and it goes like all the way through that first whole intro part while we're doing like the bum 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 bum, which I believe is a piano. Oh, have I? I just feel like every time I sit down, it sounds better than I was expecting. So, um, yes, the magic seems to be in. There's a certain, I don't know how to say it. How do you say like? It's like telling someone how to control wings. You don't have wings, but there's like a way to move the music in a very particular sort of way that lets you harmonize in a very different, in a complementary but different way than I was before, which has to do with the chord, note, scale madness that I've been doing. This stuff. Yes. So essentially, what I'm doing is I'm switching key and then moving on with the other key. And this weird way of pushing the music and in this direction makes it has a different way of thinking about the way notes are connected to one another, right? Because if I this is a first major chord, right, in here. But then if you move one note up, it's a first minor chord in D minor. But notice that didn't sound minor in relation to the major. And that's because we're still in C major chord ear space. But if we wanted to move into D minor chord space, we could hit this flat note here, or sharp, whichever way you're looking at it. And presto, we get a little bit more dissonance. So we go. drop it down into a D, a C minor, drop it down further into a G, or a F, F major, F7th, fancy, and then move it into a G major, and you actually use this black note, which is part of G major when you do that. And then you jump back to something else, like your bass, say A minor. And you can drop it into a different key again. And for the fun of it, jump into A major. So, again, thinking about every note in terms of what scales it can be in, and then picking and choosing your scale based on those notes and flowing between those scales, middle of a phrase or song to produce emotional effect. If that makes any sense. Doing that taught me stuff about chords in general, and its weird wonky notes, the way that I get to use them changes the way my timings operate. And so when I backport all that stuff into a single key, we get stuff like this. Which I don't know if it sounds any different, but you know. But we're making progress, and I'm learning new things about chords and insanity. And for all the weird, yucky notes that I find along the way, I find better ways of using the notes I already have. So, cool. And there's timing, and there's confidence, and there's finger dexterity that also goes along with all of this. And generally that also increases. The other thing to think about is that my lower hand is stronger. And it's not just stronger in that I can hit the notes harder or faster, but that all the fingers are getting used these days for like doing chord sets. I can actually find and jump to the 4 note chords on my lower hand when I need to, and I can arpeggiate them up and down, which is very handy for very particular types of songs and motions and movements, which makes all that extra depth possible in all the songs. Less of that being used in general in my recent examples here, but it's a tool that I use on occasion and stuff. So that's the new stuff I've been learning and trying to figure out and making work. It's good stuff. But I should probably wrap up. Yes. So, I'm always getting better. It's good. Let's see. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Hopefully I'll stream on time tomorrow. Oh, well, I have to. So, I've been down lately because of my cat. And my cat has a vet appointment tomorrow at about 3:30 or so. So, I have to be done well in time to get to that appointment. So, I will either have stream early, on time, or really late. Those are the only options. So yes, stay tuned to figure out what one it is. Probably on time though. I'm trying to make that work. I'm going to make it work. Watch, it'll be on time. Anyways, but with that, yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out. Really appreciate people chatting. So thanks, Chevy, and I guess that's Chevy. See, I can read. CH should not make a sh sound. It should make a ch. And yeah, thanks Dragon for hopping on and hanging out with us. And yeah, thanks to everyone else who's lurked in or stopped by after the fact. Love that you guys are around and enjoying my music too. And I suppose if you're watching this after the fact, thanks for sitting through all my random explanations. And yeah, with that, I'm gonna wrap up. Till next time, folks. See ya.